Growing up, I feel like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio were probably two of my favorite wrestlers. They had this presence about them, and their in-ring skills were just unmatched to anyone that I compare my 6-year-old brain to at the time. Now, obviously, I might have been too little to remember anything from Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero's career from back before WWE, but one of my favorite matchups that I had ever seen when I was a kid was Rey Mysterio versus Eddie in a steel cage on SmackDown in 2005. So much story, animosity, and pure hatred was shed in this match, and even just getting the rundown of the Dominic saga during that time, I got very curious after noticing something. I had always known about the WCW era of Rey and Eddie, and of course the Halloween Havoc match, but they for sure had other matches, and also, I wonder how many times these backstage brothers actually shared the ring together. This video is going to be a part of a 4-part series all covering the rivalry of Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, and today we start with 1996 to 1998, where Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero would clash over the WCW Cruiserweight Championship, and you will really just see how phenomenal these two are in the ring together, so let's go! The first time that Eddie and Rey would ever share a ring was all the way back in November 1996 at the WCW World War III event, and honestly don't expect the rivalry to heat up until about a year later. There's not really much that happens in this one compared for Eddie and Rey, so I'll just give you some rundowns. Eddie comes out at the second entry and he winks at the camera. Rey then comes out about 2 minutes later dressed up as Spider-Man for tonight's gear. The match consists of 60 superstars and not 1, not 2, not 4, but indeed 3 rings. Eddie's assisting choking out DDP, and that's the first thing I can tell you that happens because I'm going blind from looking at all 3 cameras from all 3 goddamn rings. One of the announcers shout, "My car's not my headset, I can't hear it." We didn't consider in this ring that Rey Mysterio is betrayed by a truce by Disco Inferno, and as Scott Hall nails Disco in the head, Rey starts whooping Inferno's ass. As you should. DDP sends Eddie for an Irish whip as Regal posts Eddie up into the air and eliminates Latino Heat. Rey runs at the Giant and then gets hoisted up with one hand and tossed onto Eddie Guerrero ringside. This would be the first time that these two would make contact in a ring together, and it would be a while before they would meet up again. In the meantime, Eddie Guerrero would actually be quite successful in 1997. A few days before 1997, at Starrcade 1996, Eddie would defeat DDP in the finals of the WCW United States Championship Tournament with an assist of Scott Hall. Eddie would hold the title for 77 days, defending the title a total of 14 times on television, before Eddie would lose to Dean Malenko at WCW Uncensored in a no disqualifications match. Rey wouldn't be as successful as he would challenge for the WCW TV Championship on multiple occasions, once against Steven Regal that went to a 6-minute and 56-second time limit draw. How the fuck does that work? So Regal would be rolled up in a pinfall and we would hear the bell ring, but the match would then continue, and then the bell rang again before the 3 count. And the announcers would say that the match's time limit would expire, and they say it was a 10-minute time limit, but didn't even pass 7 minutes. Sorry, I'm getting off track. Moving on, Rey Mysterio would also lose to Prince Lakia at Super Brawl and Uncensored for that year. Didn't even pass 7 minutes. Also, last random fun fact, during this time, Rey Mysterio would also randomly be in a Mexican death match against Conan at WCW Road Wild 1997. And no, it is nothing that you expect. No weapons or anything, just a normal one-on-one match. We would finally see Los Chicos in action on the September 8th edition of Monday Nitro in their first one-on-one match. The crowd begins to chant Eddie sucks, and then I notice a sign that says Deport Eddie in the crowd. Well, that's fucked up. Rey and Eddie tie up for a little, and then Rey tosses him away out of a roll. Eddie with a gut kick followed by an uppercut. Eddie that takes Rey off the ropes and hits a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker as we cut to commercials and shit. Eddie drops Rey with the hammerlock shoulder breaker, and soon after Rey nearly botches a trapeze-like springboard maneuver on Eddie, they recover as Eddie gets hip tossed and then kills Rey's fire with a clothesline. Tilt-a-whirl head scissors sends Eddie to the floor, and then Rey jumps onto the second rope and then cannonball sentons to the floor onto Guerrero. Rey double jumps and nearly loses his balance and hits a moonsault on Eddie for a 2 count. Eddie then catches Rey off the top and slams him down with a tilt-a-whirl slam for another 2 count. Eddie plants Rey down with the powerbomb, but only stacks him up for another 2. Pump handle backbreaker from Eddie, and if you can guess, it's another 2. Eddie locks in Rey in the gory special, and as Rey rolls out, Eddie slides a dropkick on Mysterio. Eddie attempts a powerbomb, but Rey hits the Hurricane Rana, and then Eddie catches him off the ropes, and then throws Rey on his feet to the floor. Rey then recovers and hits the Dragon Rana on Eddie, and then scores a 3 for the win. Eddie is sad about the loss, as Rey gets the first point in the series. 5 days after this match, Eddie Guerrero would challenge Chris Jericho at Fall Brawl for the WCW World Cruiserweight Championship. Eddie would counter a superplex and then hit Y2J with the Frog Splash and would actually win the championship for the first time. Rey Mysterio back on Nitro about 3 weeks later, and Rey goes up for a challenge against a local competitor named El Caliente. And as Rey goes to give his mask to a fan, Caliente baseball slides him into the crowd and then puts Rey's mask over his mask and goes to work on Rey. Caliente drives Rey into the corner and hits the Tope Atomico. Rey gets popped up by Caliente and hits a facebuster. Rey then recovers in an Irish whip with a caught moonsault, which Rey then reverses into an arm drag, sends him away with a big monkey flip, and then plants Caliente with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. I did not expect Rey Mysterio to hit a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Rey face plants off a moonsault attempt, where then Caliente gives him a sliding dropkick and then a back suplex followed by a 2 count. Caliente attempts a powerbomb, where then Rey arm drags Caliente. Caliente comes back with a big clothesline. Caliente tries to unmask Rey Mysterio, but as Rey tries to keep it on, Caliente just face washes him. Eddie sucks Chance ring out, as they then drop Rey with a stiff powerbomb for the 2 count. Caliente holds him over with an abdominal stretch, and they travel to the top rope, where they hit a big superplex. Caliente is indecisive for the pinfall, and that hesitation would cost him. Caliente attempts the lawn dart, but then Rey gets sent over the top rope, and then Rey hits his double jump into the Dragon Rana and scores a 3 count again. Rey wastes no time in exposing this man as he takes off Caliente's mask, and obviously it's still Eddie Guerrero, and Eddie is already pissed off enough. This one's a classic. Whenever anyone thinks of the WCW Rey and Eddie, I feel like everyone always refers to this match as their best in the company. And let's see if it's the facts, because I'm pretty sure, remembering when I made this script, it is. Eddie starts off the match talking shit to Rey, but as Eddie goes to strike, Rey smacks him in the mush and then recovers with a moonsault into an arm drag and then sends Eddie airborne with the monkey flip. Rey crossbodies Eddie to the floor, and as Rey goes to jump, he catches himself on the apron, and then Eddie pulls him down to a gross thud, followed by a toss into the stairs. Rey attempts a handspring assault, but Eddie catches him and drops him with the Saito suplex. Eddie then soon drops Rey with a suplex for a 2 count. Tilt-a-whirl backbreaker also gets a 2. Eddie tries to rip the mask off Rey's face while he's locked in the abdominal stretch, and that's when the announcers point out that Rey is wearing a bodysuit, not a mask. Eddie then drops him with a backbreaker for the 2. Eddie tries to plant Rey's hands down as he then bridges up and then does the world famous Mysterio DDT onto Eddie and then hits a dropkick to send Eddie to the outside. Rey tries for a crossbody, but Eddie runs into the ring and dropkicks him to the floor. With the title on the line, Eddie locks Rey in the camel clutch, and he actually starts ripping at one of Rey's eye holes and showing part of Rey's face. Eddie locks Rey in the gory special. Mysterio then turns it into an arm drag takedown, but Eddie stops him down with the dropkick. A shouldered backbreaker from Guerrero, and then locks Rey in with the bow and arrow to the Eddie sucks chance ringing out around them. Eddie works Rey over in the corner for a little while until Rey starts fighting back, and then Eddie then chucks him into the ropes into the Tree of Woe, which Eddie then follows up with a dropkick. Rey pulls up before another dropkick, and Eddie Guerrero goes pork and beans first into the ring post, and then Rey jumps over the ring post and hits a crossbody onto Eddie on the outside. Rey lands on his feet off a tilt-a-whirl and then rolls Eddie into a Hurricane Rana pin attempt for a 2. Rey lands on his feet from a moonsault, and then Rey almost does a 619 to nothing, and then the head scissors sends Eddie back to the floor, where then Rey hits a picture-perfect springboard Hurricane Rana to the ramp. Rey with the corkscrew moonsault out of the corner, and then only hits a 2 on Guerrero. Rey with the Arabian press, blocked by Eddie's knees, and then hits a big powerbomb for a near fall. Rey sends Eddie into the corner, and then hits the wheel kick. Rey sets up for the West Coast pop, but Guerrero turns it into a backbreaker, where he then signals for the frog splash. Eddie then rolls off the top rope, and then Rey gets planted on his sack on the top, where then Rey starts to fight off Eddie. Eddie then attempts the Razor's Edge, and then this is when Rey recovers it into a Hurricane Rana and then rolls Eddie up and gets the 3 count. Rey Mysterio Jr. has become the new WCW Cruiserweight Champion, and as Rey goes to cry to thank everyone, Eddie attacks him from behind as the champion retreats from his victory. As we start off this next match, I just want to mention that Rey and Eddie are also featured in the upcoming World War III match again, but then again everybody else also is, and they also compete the same night, so I'm just going to skip over that. Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero team up to take on the new WCW Cruiserweight Champion Rey Mysterio and Steven Regal. Dean Malenko and Rey Mysterio kick off our tag team bout with some circling and unique chain wrestling, including Rey landing off his feet off a back body drop, and then rolling up Malenko with a La Magistral for a 2. Rey with a leapfrog as he attempts the monkey flip, but Malenko hits a cartwheel for the evasion. Eddie claps for Malenko on the apron as Dean then just tags Eddie in when he's not looking, where Regal is also now the legal man and hits Eddie with an uppercut. Regal with the monkey flip, Eddie lands on his feet, and then Regal gets sent away with an arm drag, but then Regal pops him up to his face. Eddie fights back with a dropkick and kicks to the leg as more Eddie sucks chants echo around the arena. Head kick from Regal, followed by a crossbody to the tag to Mysterio. Rey hops over a dropkick, gets Eddie with the monkey flip, and then lands on his feet with a moonsault, and then rolls him into the pin with the Rana, but Malenko is there to break it up. Eddie pops Rey into the air, and he lands on the Malenko, where he then spins him into a Hurricane Rana to the floor. Rey jumps to hit Eddie with a dropkick, but Rey accidentally hits Regal. Eddie then takes advantage with a big powerbomb. Eddie looks for the frog splash, but Dean Malenko sneaks in a tag and then locks Rey into the cloverleaf to make Rey tap out. Eddie finally gets one over on Rey, but he wasn't the one to get the pinfall, as Eddie is angry at the match's ending. Next week on Nitro, we get a Halloween Havoc rematch for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. As Ray is making his entrance, Eddie gives him a dropkick, and as the bell rings, he drops Ray with a pump handle backbreaker. Eddie says, "I'm your poppy," as he chops Ray in the corner, and Eddie attempts a dropkick, but Ray evades. Ray monkey flips Eddie onto his feet, and then Ray lands onto his feet out of a fireman's carry, and then hits almost a corkscrew head scissors off the ropes, and then monkey flips Eddie into the ropes. Ray rolls into a handspring into the head scissors off the apron to Eddie to the floor. Eddie takes a shot at Ray on the top and hits the superplex for a short double down and 2 count. Ray with a recovered back body drop on Eddie, and then Ray hits the springboard for the Hurricane Rana, but this time it's only a 2 count. Ray with a body slam and springboard moonsault for another 2. It's weird that they're announcing their rematch already, considering this matchup isn't even over, yet they're having a title match as we speak. Ray gets popped up and sent to his face, and then Eddie attempts a powerbomb, where they then join hands, and he hits almost like similar to like a UFO heat seeker. You guys see the clip, like that was sick as fuck. Ray attempts the West Coast pop, but Guerrero catches him and sends him into the ropes for an alley-oop. I actually thought that they botched that, but it looked kinda brutal. Eddie Guerrero climbs to the top and hits the frog splash and gets the 3 on Mysterio for the first time. Eddie Guerrero has become a 2-time WCW Cruiserweight Champion, and here comes Dean Malenko for the stare down, and then he just leaves. Also, this sign that says Hogan thumps children. Eddie and Ray do their typical tie up and arm drag shtick before they circle the ring again. Ray with the arm drag, which sends Eddie to the outside, and then runs immediately back in and yells, "Take an exception!" Ray with the shoulder tackle off the Irish whip, followed by a tilt-a-whirl head scissors, where then Eddie takes control with his own head scissors, and then rolls him into the Angel's wings into a 2 count. Ray tries to slide through Eddie's legs, but Eddie catches him and releases Ray with a German right on the Ray's head, where he then drops Ray with a back suplex. Ray nails the head kick, and then botches again, but makes it look like a mule kick reversal. Ray then redeems himself with a springboard scissor whip. Ray goes to dive, but he hits a 619 onto nothing, and then Eddie pulls him to his face. Tope Atomico attempt, but then Ray plants Eddie up on his balls on the rope. Ray attempts the sunset flip powerbomb to the outside, but Eddie jumps back, and then nails the tilt-a-whirl backbreaker on the floor. Ray stops Eddie on the top rope, and Ray's looking for a superplex this time, but Eddie holds on and pulls Ray in for his own. Eddie scales to the top again, but he rolls across the ring, and then Ray then rolls him into the Hurricane Rana for the 2. Eddie then ends the sequence with a flapjack for the double down. Eddie looks for a powerbomb, Ray rolls him away, and then nails the head scissors for the unsuccessful cover.
Nope.
Hogan.
This is not hot pass.
Eddie posts Ray up for a suplex for a while, and then just leaves him out to dry on the top rope as Eddie smacks his ass at the crowd. Eddie jumps over Ray on the apron for the sunset powerbomb. Ray then recovers with a Hurricane Rana, shortly after hits the Tope con Hilo to the floor, followed by the Arabian press onto Eddie for the 2. Ray goes for the Hurricane Rana, but Eddie stops him and hits a powerbomb. Ray body slams Guerrero, but as Ray hits the top, Eddie looks for a powerbomb, and then Ray tries to maneuver as he slips off Eddie. Ray goes running out of the corner, and he hits the moonsault for another 2 count. Ray then hits the springboard leg drop. Ray motions for the West Coast pop as he rolls up Eddie. Eddie gets his foot on the rope at the last moment, where Tony Schiavone actually thought the match ended. Eddie drops Ray face first onto the top rope and then nails the frog splash to retain the championship. Eddie says into the camera,
"You want a piece of this? Because this is the best thing in WCW right now, and there's nothing you can do about it."
We go over to WCW Saturday Night for the first time, so sorry for the drop in quality, but this is about a month later on WCW Saturday Night on December 27th, 1997. Sorry, but tell me this commercial break isn't hilarious.
Nate Newton.
Batman is in the crowd and he's chanting for Rey Mysterio as Eddie points them out. Eddie yells to the crowd to, They start tying up in the ring as Ray kips up and sends Eddie away with the arm drag. Eddie pulls Lil Nate aside and tells him Ray was pulling his tights by pulling the ref's tights. Eddie works over a hammerlock on Ray for a while as he then drops him with the shoulder breaker. Eddie focuses on Mysterio's arm as he traps him in the corner and gives him a dropkick. Powerbomb arm drag evasion followed by the monkey flip from Mysterio. Mysterio catches himself on the apron and hits the springboard head scissors. Ray climbs to the top, but Eddie moves out of the way, and then Ray, like a heat-seeking missile, nails Eddie on the outside. Eddie works on Ray in the corner, where Ray then hits Eddie with the unprettier. Damn, I wasn't expecting that one. He then hits the springboard leg drop for the 2 count. Ray attempts the sunset flip, Eddie rolls to his feet, gets sent face first into the turnbuckle, and then Ray hits the tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Ray with the double jump on Eddie into the Hurricane Rana, but Eddie breaks out at the 2 count. Ray jumps to the top rope, but Eddie then drops him face first onto the ropes and then hits the frog splash, and then Eddie is able to retain the belt once again. In the time span of a month, Eddie Guerrero would not only lose the Cruiserweight Championship to Ultimo Dragon on the December 29th, 1997 episode of Nitro in an 87-second match. Literally most of the match was a pre-match attack. Eddie then soon got up and shit-canned him. Vince Russo booking, ladies and gentlemen. And then on the January 15, 1998 episode of Thunder, Rey Mysterio would defeat Juventud Guerrera and would win his third WCW Cruiserweight Champion. And yes, this all happened in the span of a month. There were 4 different WCW Cruiserweight Champions. Vince Russo booking. Our last match of this video takes place on Thunder, but this time Rey Mysterio is defending the championship against Latino Heat. Eddie immediately dives at Rey's feet, but Rey moves out of the way and gets a waistlock on Eddie. Rey gets rolled out of a powerbomb and then gets cut down with a clothesline. Rey with the tilt-a-whirl head scissors, Eddie then gets his legs stuck in the apron. Rey with the 6-1-0 pull by Eddie and then hits Rey with the tope atomico. Eddie gets a back suplex countered by Rey into a 2 count. Rey gets dropped with a standing vertical brainbuster, but Eddie takes too much time in climbing the ropes, as Rey then finally hits Eddie with the superplex. Rey with the pop-up dropkick that sends Eddie to the outside, and then the tope con hilo takes out both men, as Rey is suffering from a knee injury. The ref begins the count as Chris Jericho comes zooming by and he starts attacking Rey out of nowhere. Rey Mysterio wins this matchup by disqualification and retains the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Eddie has a problem with Jericho since his title shot just went in the shitter, but then they both start booting the hell out of Rey and then slide him to the floor. Eddie then pushes Jericho and gets mad as Jericho disrobes, and then out of nowhere comes Eddie Guerrero then backs off as he knows that this is between Jericho and Benoit. Rey Mysterio has won this round by a mere disqualification, but who will prevail in round 2 when we revisit the Filthy Animals era of 2 of the best that Lucha Libre, WCW, and professional wrestling had to offer?
I need to let go.